This month on HMP, we take a look at the career of the littlest paisan. It's Mucho Ralph Macchio Marathon. Welcome to Half-Ass Movie Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Half-Ass Movie Podcast, a show where we put together a half-ass theme as an excuse to watch movies. My name is Adam Portress, and joining me today, he's swooping back his pompadour as we speak. Sweet Sean's a go-back from the internet.
Yo no quiero más macho.
And at this age, he'd prefer to be called Pony Man, Bruce Leslie.
Stay golden, Pony Boy. Stay golden.
Welcome back to HMP, everybody. This week, we kick off our Mucho Ralph Macchio Marathon. That's a nice mouthful there for you. With the movie that would make people stand up and say, hey, is that the kid who was in that thing? The kid's name was Ralph Macchio, and he was actually 18 years old in this movie, which is pretty insane. I think we got a wild delay on our. I think we got a wild delay on our Zoom today, here, guys.
That's okay. I'll try to anticipate what you're saying and start talking before you're done on my end.
But yeah, so we got all that and stuff, and we got the thing. I'll be honest with you, boys. This might shock you. First time I've ever seen this one.
Oh, no way!
This is a first time watch for me. For whatever reason, This was not a movie I was really interested in. I think it was the kind of the Brat Pack idea of it all and stuff. Because I was just much older.
I just kind of thought everybody had to watch it in junior high or middle school or whatever.
That's what I'm to understand, and how this whole thing came about was like, I guess this was a book that was like widely read, you know, at some particular point and whatnot. And I guess old Francis Ford Coppola, I guess, went to a middle school or something like that, and they were like, hey, man.
This is a book from back when this kind of thing was considered a children's book. But yeah, this is a children's book that got adapted into a movie because a classroom full of kids signed a petition in multicolors and sent it to Francis Ford Coppola. Well,
I mean, I suppose when the life expectancy is 47, this is probably fine to read this. And listen, you're going to go through this real fast, kids.
All books are children's books when the parents are illiterate.
Very good. I like that. That's a smart joke there, boy.
That's a good line.
Yes, sir. So we're gonna but Sean, we were kind of talking before this and everything. We're just hoping we can drag you through Mucho Macchio May here, and with not too many barbs on you.
I'm so glad that this was the decision and someone came up with this great idea. The guy with that huge range of acting, Ralph Macchio. When you think like, man, that guy's like a chameleon, you immediately think Daniel Day-Lewis and Ralph Macchio, and here we are.
I mean, they practically look the same. They could do that Groucho Marx thing where like the mirror gag and all that stuff. It'd be perfect.
Yeah, he never changes, that guy.
But we'll get into all of that good stuff. I think it's going to be. I'm excited for it. And again, this because it was my first time seeing this. I had zero really idea what this was all about going in and everything. So we'll get talking about that. But before we do, why don't you head on down to the YouTubes there, man? Give us subscribe to this here program. I didn't do anything the last week because I've just had my first week of being a substitute teacher. We didn't even talk about that in the pre-show. But so I've been trying to figure out how to. Balance a little lifestyle and then be able to still. I've written videos, but I haven't recorded them yet. So I've written, but no recording. So we're going to hopefully get to that.
Bruce, it's like Adam is growing up in front of our very eyes.
I just want to know if you got to dissect any frogs, buddy.
No, not yet. Most of my day is pretty much. Guys, can we get quiet, please? Quiet down, please. Thank you. Hey, I got to turn up. Listen, I may not be a father, but I've had the dad voice used on me so much. I know that's you raise that dad voice, boy. They all just okay, all right, okay, oh boy. And so again, also watching this and seeing, because I'm substituting for middle school, so I'm looking at kids that are about this age, and so watching this thing, I'm just like, these kids wouldn't last 5 seconds in this world. They'd all be dead so fast. But we'll be talking about all of those kind of good stuff. But check that out over at the YouTube there. I promise we'll have some more videos and stuff up there. But I do have a YouTube comment that I want to highlight. It's from our good friend Marty.
Marty
wrote, I reviewed the new movie from Alex Garland called whatchamadoodle, Warfare. And he responds and says, I haven't seen Civil War yet, but I love Garland's other work, but I wonder if I'll miss the sci-fi elements. Dirty Baby out. I kind of miss some the idea of sci-fi and some Garland stuff. I love the war things that he's doing and everything right now, so I got no complaints about those because they're really, really awesome, but I wouldn't mind seeing him dip his toe in some sci-fi, at some point again. Garland fans?
I don't know that I've seen much of his stuff.
You've seen like Ex Machina, right?
Yeah, I've seen Ex Machina, but that might be all I've seen.
Yeah, broaden that.
I haven't seen Civil War. I haven't seen Warfare. I don't know what else he's done. Did he do that Upgrade movie?
No, he did the one where Amidala is her husband has gone missing.
I didn't see that one either.
They called it Husband Missing 2. That's not true.
Oh, what is the name of that movie?
I'm trying to,
and there's like that wall of like crazy looking thing, and like there's a bear that's turned inside out, and like the world is crazy, and
I used to think that my least favorite bears were koalas, but I think Inside Out, that's worse.
Well, the Inside Out bear still ain't giving you chlamydia.
So head over there to the YouTube.
Yeah,
page.
but I love
really
that koala. It was worth it.
Comment on the stuff. We really love all that kind of good stuff and whatnot, and we appreciate it. And of course, if you really love the show, head on over to patreon.com/HMP. Pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, and Dinger Zone. Man, we finished up with the Daredevil 30 questions. Now we're on to Andor 30 questions. And boy, they're throwing a lot of material at us. That's for darn sure on that one.
Yeah. For
good or for ill, we'll find out in the show, and you'll find out by going to patreon.com/HMP, joining up today at any price. And the best part is anytime I make a YouTube video, when your name is on that, you get listed up there in the credits, so you can show your mother and say, look, I accomplished something, damn it. So stop getting on my case, all right? And then, then you win all the arguments from that point out. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Shut up, Mom. I'm an internet celebrity.
Hold it in until Thanksgiving when you really need it, though, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, just like birthdays and Thanksgiving. Just be like, hey. I deserve a little bit of respect around here. Or email us at halfassmoviepod@gmail.com. We love you so much. Let's get into it, fellas. Ralph Macchio, we're getting into it. Here's the IMDb plot line for The Outsiders. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. In a small Oklahoma town, I did not know Oklahoma, by the way. Boy, oh boy, I've been to Oklahoma. Ain't nobody sound like this. Let's start over here.
It's almost like everyone's overacting in this thing.
What? Right? No.
Yeah, I would have sworn it was Texas.
In a small Oklahoma town in 1964, the rivalry between two gangs, the poor greasers and the rich socias, heats up when one gang member accidentally kills a member of the other. This is written by, I forgot to write their names in here, so sorry about that, fellas. But directed by Francis Ford Coppola, who, of course, did The Godfather, The Conversation, Apocalypse Now, and, of course, Jack and his crowning masterpiece, Megalopolis. Starring C. Thomas Howell, Matt Dillon, Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze, Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise, Diane Lane, and the one and only Ralph Macchio. Bruce, this, I feel like of all of us, this movie holds, a special place in your heart the most. Now, I'd admitted, I said I've never seen anything before, but what were your initial kind of thoughts when you saw this movie?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is, I always thought of this as kind of a classic. It was my introduction to a lot of the people in this cast. And, I really, really related to the dichotomy. I kind of related to the greasers here. I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks in a town that was about 30 years behind the rest of the world. So it all kind of felt a lot like this. I would carry a knife in my back pocket for protection from an early age. And I just, I identified very, very strongly with Johnny and Ponyboy. And then I love the idea of a totally insane dad naming his kid Soda Pop.
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing that I was kind of surprised with. I was just like, okay, these are some, because again, one of the things you hear a little bit about movies, you can't help but, grasp a little bit here and there. So I thought,
Yes.
all of these have got to be like the nicknames, and they go specifically out of your way to go, nope, Dad was a wacko. just named her kid some wacky things, which is hilarious. Especially for like what would have been the 50s when he did it.
Yeah, and that's true to the novel that S.E. Hinton wrote. I'm sure it won some kind of like Caldecott medal or whatever the heck they give to, or Newbery medal. I think that's the one. Newbery is what it would get. But I'm sure it won.
She got a
some kind of
Scholastic
awards and
Book
stuff.
Fair award of some sort. We're sure.
Yeah, I think it's for a long time. Most public school curriculums had it required reading around 7th grade. I know the local schools, my kids all had to read it in middle school, and of course they watched the movie. And I think when you are a little bit younger than these characters, it's really impactful. But when you're like the guys in town complaining about these kids running around making trouble, maybe you don't like the film as much. So I'm curious to hear how it struck with you, Adam, because I don't know if my relationship would be the same if I hadn't been 13 when I saw it.
Yeah.
And all my friends saw it at the same time, and we all liked it and talked about it and had fun with it.
I mean, I grew up in a small town and everything, and we had the closest that we had to something like this was the kind of two different main neighborhoods in town and everything. We had your Airwoods and your Forest Hills, and they each economically we were all pretty much about the same, and everything, but everyone thought the other one had more money. And it's and the fact is, they were all just middle class for the most part. But so we would have some little rivalries and stuff like that. So that kind of silly stuff was somewhat relatable in a dumb kind of child way and everything. But again, watching back, I'm looking at these kids going how old are they in this thing? And that's the thing that just kind of blew my mind more than anything is how young everyone is, or at least how young they're portraying their characters as being. Let's put it that way.
And much like the cast of this movie, the town I grew up in had no minorities in it, so I could probably relate more to this than somebody from a bigger town where this just doesn't look realistic.
Yeah, and see that mine was kind of the opposite because we were kind of we were about 48% as far as black and white goes, in my town and everything. So and it was funny. My cousins years later went "Oh, you went to the black high school?" I was just "Did I? What now?
Really?"
And then when I looked at it, I was just I mean, I guess maybe I did, but it didn't feel any different to me. It felt like the town that we were in. It was just I don't know. I've known these. I pretty much grew up with the same group of kids from K 1 through 12. So it was always the same to me. But the small town feel and everything, it certainly hit home with me. And again, Bruce, like you said, my town was another one that was in the 90s. It might as well have been the 70s.
Yeah.
So definitely a lot of that stuff going on. Sean, what was your kind of first exposure?
So, I can remember first hearing about this movie from all of the girls in my class in elementary school once it came to VHS. The girls loved this movie, I think, because of all the cute boys in it.
Yeah.
And this was back at the time, sorry to interrupt, but it probably took it a year longer to come to VHS back then. So this is out in 83. I think it hit my town about 85, 86.
And so, they would all give each other the nicknames of the boys in this movie where Pony Boy, Soda Pop, they would call each other that. And so that was my first exposure to it. And then maybe in junior high is the first time I saw it. And I don't think because I don't have this similar experience that you and Bruce have, growing up in a suburb in Connecticut, it doesn't get much whiter than that. It's not that, not that we were loaded or anything. I grew up, the first season of Stranger Things is literally what it was like for me growing up. That is exactly what my days and weeks were, except for no Dungeons and Dragons for me, but everything else is the same. And
you were a Pathfinder guy.
We were constantly, I don't know what that means. I'm guessing that
it's sort of like off-brand D&D.
Oh, okay.
You're a GoBot guy.
Oh, right. Okay. Now, see, that's how you relate it. There you go. Know your audience.
You gotta talk to the natives in language with which they understand, son.
Why isn't my Pathfinder joke going over well?
10 years of working together. That's my takeaway. You're a GoBots guy.
I am a GoBots guy. I love the GoBot. The cartoon is stupid, but the toys were way better. No one remembers that anyway. moving on. So like, you know, in 7th grade, 8th grade is when I first saw this movie. And, you know, like, I don't think I was old enough for it. Like, I didn't understand that this is like the way that people could have lived in the 50s. Like, I didn't understand that part. It was like, so everybody's Fonzie? Like, I think that's probably what I took away from it.
The Outsiders, a group full of Fonzies.
That's what I thought the first time I saw Lords of Flatbush, which actually had Henry Winkler in it. But I was a teenager maybe, and I thought, wow, it's a bunch of Fonzies.
These are all the Fonz's sons, see? That's how this movie works.
And then I saw it again in college, and you know, it's a different experience, and I was a much more enlightened person, and like, I get why people like this movie so much. Like, for instance, my youngest daughter, this is one of her favorite movies. My takeaway from this, to answer your question though, Adam, is that whoever the casting director for this movie is, if they hadn't won an Oscar, they should have, at the very least, worked for as long as they wanted to after casting this movie. Because honestly, when you look at this movie, like at the time, like think of the era this movie was made in. Every single main character in this movie went on to bigger, badder, better things. And the weirdest part is that the main character in the movie, at the time, you would have, if you were a betting man, you would have bet that C. Thomas Howell would have a gigantic career watching this movie, and he just didn't. You know, he didn't.
Burned brightly, but he burned out quickly.
He did, and you know, I'm guessing that things like starring in Soul Man didn't help him, which is a movie that does not exist anymore. It's right there with your collection next to Song of the South, but like. He just, you know, everybody else in this movie just had these amazing careers, and this is the first thing 90% of them were in.
I mean, when you see how small Tom Cruise's role is, it's just, I don't know. There's something really like you're witnessing. Wow, they don't know what they've got here. They're just, and he's doing a good job at his small part. I think he's just kind of a cool experience. It's like opening up a time capsule.
He's also not the most handsome boy in this movie. I mean,
I think that goes to Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
So, but also the one thing that you can tell there's two characters that really do it, but like Tom Cruise is the big one there. But like, the way he moves, he doesn't move like the rest of them do. The rest of these guys, when they're walking around and joking and stuff, they're moving like actors. Tom Cruise is moving like a dude. Like, the way he's moving around and how he's just like, how his actual body movements are and everything, that's what an actual person does. These other guys are walking like actors, and it's real. It's so bizarre to kind of see little tiny things like that. And Macchio is kind of the same way too. Macchio, again, is probably the most naturalistic person in this entire movie.
Now, I would say I may not agree entirely. I'm on the record many times saying I'm crazy about Swayze. So I think Patrick Swayze is the one who seems most at home in this small town in Oklahoma.
I'm okay on Swayze. I'm not like, I was never like against, but I've never kind of quite championed it the way, you know, a lot of Gen Xers do. I don't know.
He's the only actor who never made a bad movie. I'm sure he did. I don't know.
That's insane. That's insane.
Oh, my word,
what
sir.
An insane thing to say, sir. Clearly, you've never seen Next of Kin or Black
Dog. No.
Or...
Next of Kin was filmed in the city that I used to live in, that I had my Outsiders experience, and I'm not making that up.
Black Dog was shot in the other city you lived in, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, or Huntington, West Virginia. But they shot the train scene of Next of Kin in literally across the street from my house, at the tracks of which I lived on the wrong side of.
That is not a good movie.
I loved it. Ben Stiller in a breakout role.
Okay.
Ben Stiller is in that movie, I promise.
I don't remember. I'm sure he is.
Yeah. He's like random gangster henchman.
Oh my God, he's 5'4". What?
Liam Neeson is in it. Oh man, it's great.
Yeah,
that is
a redneck.
That is another thing watching this movie too, is just kind of like seeing the relative size of everybody.
Yeah.
And Francis Ford Coppola doesn't shoot them big. at all. Like if you look at a lot of their other movies and stuff, you think Tom Cruise is damn near 6 feet tall, the way we're shooting him and everything, but he ain't. And when we throw up against everybody else, it's like, oh shit, Swayze's short. Everybody's just a tiny little man. It's so cute.
But yeah, when you live in a small town and you're like, I don't know, maybe 12 years old, when you can stand on your porch and see Helen Hunt and Patrick Swayze, you end up liking the movie no matter how it turns out.
Again, this, as far as a Francis Ford Coppola movie, what do we know? What I didn't get to the point. I tried to get Ralph Macchio's book. He didn't mention much about The Outsider, so then I grabbed Rob Lowe's book, and like I haven't gotten to The Outsiders part yet. So I'm just like I'm swimming around here. I do some Rob Lowe stuff's very interesting. I'm almost like like 3 chapters in. I'm like, we need to do a Rob Lowe month, man, at some point.
Yeah, maybe in May. Maybe this May. Maybe this May.
No, it's not too late to shift gears.
It is not too late to shift.
We are on the road.
I feel bad because, gun to my head, other than Wayne's World, I don't think I could name another Rob Lowe movie.
Man, what about everything that he did in the 80s?
The thing is, like, I can't remember which he was in and which he wasn't.
Exactly.
It's like it's just sort of randomly naming movies that are plausible he could have been in.
I tell you what, though, he might be a horrible person, but this audiobook's making me go, he might not be a bad guy. I
kind of like him. I think Sean, for some reason, I think you kind of turned me around on Rob Lowe a little bit. Aren't you a fan?
I am. Because he was terrible, 40 years ago, 35 years ago, but he turned it around. Like he became a better person. And what more can you ask for from someone? Right, Portress?
I really enjoyed his character on Parks and Rec a lot too. So
yeah, he's of course, man. How do you not like that character? He's amazing on that show.
Yeah, so now I'm definitely a fan now.
He also, I don't know who's doing his work, but they are an artist that their work needs to be put in a museum because my God.
There are people who know how to like start low and go slow and not overdo it the first time around. I have done some plastics myself, so I really do admire their work there.
It's amazing, man. I mean, he is the most natural looking facelift participant I've ever seen.
Yeah.
When you could say you've aged better than Tom Cruise, you can really say something.
You aren't wrong. Wrong.
Remember, sorry, he's gone, but like, remember when Swayze would get some facelifts at the end there? Oh my goodness gracious.
He had pancreatic cancer and he was losing weight.
I'm not even talking about that era. I'm talking before that era. I wouldn't besmirch him at that point, but there were times when he just was really starting to get into like, his 50s and stuff. Was like, well, I need a little bit of work, and it would go, whoa. Michael Douglas did the same kind of thing. So, they all did.
That's a good comp. I like that.
Yeah. You just get to that point, you're like,
plugs, maybe.
I'm gonna die quick. Make my face
plastic. I also, Swayze gets a total pass from me because of my love of the first Roadhouse movie.
Yeah.
I was dragged kicking and screaming to see that movie. I did not want to see that movie at all. And by the time I walked out of there, I was like, do I love Patrick Swayze? Like after the first time I saw that movie. So anything he did after that, I was kind of like, I'm going to give him a pass. This is garbage, but I'm giving this a pass.
My mom's all-time favorite movie was Dirty Dancing, and I think it was 100% because that Patrick Swayze, he's something in some tight pants.
Sure.
So, you only get one mother. So if she loves him, I'm going to love him too.
I don't know. She didn't tell you she was a bigger Jerry Orbach fan, so...
Oh no, that was
I tell him it's Swayze, but I stays for Jerry.
The only person who ever gave Swayze a run for his money with my mom was Bruce Willis.
Oh, that's the only person that's not in this movie, I think, at this point.
Yeah, no kid. Well, he was also 30 when this movie was shooting.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
I didn't realize he was that old. I thought he just had a bad hairline at a young age.
No.
What are your thoughts on Matt Dillon in this thing? This is a very early Matt Dillon role, obviously.
Now, I like things that aren't what typical people like, I'll try to say. So sometimes what I judge is going to seem way out of line to you guys. But I thought that Matt Dillon's performance rose above all the rest here.
I think it's really good. I think he's probably
Whew, I was worried you were going to just berate me for saying that.
No. He's on the Mount Rushmore of the cast, and there's a shitload of people in this, so it's not difficult to do. But that's
an excellent. I got to say, Bruce, that's an excellent point. I think he might be the best actor in this movie.
I mean, I'm just riveted to what he's doing, what he's saying. His breakdown seems believable. I really believe that he's a what you would call chaotic good. He's got a good heart, but he's broke some laws, and he really seems to care about those boys. You know, that's an expensive piece of steel he's giving him. He gives them a revolver, tells them where to go, goes and checks on them. I mean, this guy has $50
in 1950 something. You know, that's a decent amount of change.
He's got a great heart, and he wants to actually do what a father should do, which is help your kids not make the same mistakes you did. And I believe every bit of that performance. And I think that he also is not as mumbly as some of the rest. And he also doesn't sound like he just read his lines 15 minutes before they said action, like Emilio Estevez. So I like him a lot in this.
Now, okay, let's talk about Emilio Estevez, because all I can see in this is him. I just see Charlie Sheen, or not, the old man. Yeah.
Ramon,
yes, Ramon Estevez. I'm seeing.
I can't remember his state. Martin Sheen.
My brain was having a nap too. So I just see Martin Sheen in like Badlands. He's just doing like Martin Sheen in Badlands kind of thing or something like that.
Except for Martin Sheen's great in Badlands.
Oh no, I'm not saying he's doing it as well. Come on now, let's not go overboard here. I'm just saying that's what he's attempting to do. Is like, my daddy did this one, I'm gonna do this one, and it's like, nice attempt, Emilio. It's it could have been worse, but I kept seeing, I'm just looking at his face and I'm like, there's Martin.
Whenever I look back at Emilio Estevez performances from the 80s, specifically the late 80s, when he got like ridiculously hot around the Young Guns time, I don't get it. Like, I don't know what we were thinking. I really don't. Maybe you do, Sean, but I don't see why I thought he was so cool back then.
He looks like a skull.
He kind of looks like a kid.
There's the weird thing in the 80s that you know how Mike Myers loves making fun of celebrities from the 70s who were ugly and they were famous, and the public was
I kind of like to do that too, so I definitely remember that about Mike Myers.
And so it's kind of the same thing, I think, with a lot of people in the 80s, where and Emilio Estevez is one of those people where it's like, oh, he's around all these attractive people, so he must be attractive too. I don't think, and I mean, he holds himself like he's a cool guy, and so that's kind of all you needed, and so good for him. Like if you're dating Demi Moore, people are going to think you're pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the Pete Davidson effect.
He was dating Paula Abdul when she was right at the top of her game.
That's pretty one for one to me.
She found the one guy she found the one guy she didn't have to get on her tiptoes to kiss.
Yeah, it's I think Emilio is kind of part of the overall problem of this movie to me, is that there seems to be a whole lot of people acting tough instead of the way that tough people actually are. And I know someone is going to somewhere, a ghost is screaming out about how that's how they were portraying the characters. No, they weren't. No, this is young actors pretending to be tough kids, and they're just, there's so much overacting happening in this movie. It's not difficult to watch just because it's a very pretty shot movie, and not to sound like the oldest man in the world again, you don't see a lot of movies like this anymore, like the way this is shot. But man, it is.
And I feel like I'm asking this again for the second time in 4 weeks, but is Francis Ford Coppola a good director?
Yes.
Okay, because I think he's great with the camera. I think he puts beautiful films together. They're shot great, but when I watch some of the acting, I wonder why is he not getting a little bit more out of these guys?
He's more about the composition of shots and camera lenses and things like that.
That should have been my question then. Is he good at directing actors?
I don't think he is. I
think he's good at making movies, but
yes.
maybe not so good at directing actors.
Yes, and terrible when he's not connected with a writer who's at the top of their game.
I will be damned if I'm going to sit here on my own podcast and have other people talk down about Sofia Coppola's amazing cameo in this film as a little girl.
She wants 15 cents. And you know what? She found her acting tone and kept it all the way to Godfather 3.
You're not wrong.
She sure did.
What's that character in the claymation dealies? She looks like that gal. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm sorry. I don't think.
Are you talking about Wallace's girlfriend?
Yeah,
Wallace and Gromit?
Yeah.
She does have that hairdo.
She's got that hairdo, and then the super red lips and everything. All I just thought is like, where's that little dog?
Oh man, it'd be great if her cousin Nick was there.
What are your thoughts on Rob Lowe in this one?
Underused.
He's fine. I mean, with all of these who will be later known as Brat Packers, there's just so much overacting happening. Like he's another one who falls in this camp too. I think with the exception of, Swayze gets a pass. Swayze gets the Swayze pass. New term. Love it. And Matt Dillon, I think for the most part, everybody else is kind of, oh, we know what a Southern accent sounds like. Oh, okay.
I think if I were ruining this movie by giving him my opinion, I would probably cast Rob Lowe in Leif Garrett's role as a Soch, and then maybe composite a couple of the greasers together. I think we have too many greasers.
Yeah, there's far too many characters in it for no particular reason to have that and stuff like that.
I see Rob Lowe as a Soch, not a greaser.
Well, that's if we're honest with ourselves, the majority of everyone who is a greaser is pretty decent looking to begin with here, and like that was the most unbelievable thing of all of it is just like these all would be like, the ugliest one is Emilio Estevez, and he's not horrid looking. He just looks a little bit crazy. He, like I said, he looks like a misfit skull or something. But that's about it. Everybody else is pretty decent looking, save for Tom Cruise's jacked up teeth. But Tom
Cruise has that black hair that looks great when it's greased back.
But Thomas C. Howell, good-looking guy. Nat Dillon, good-looking guy. Macchio, good-looking. Swayze, good-looking. Rob Lowe, good-looking. None of these people would be that good-looking living over there on the wrong side of the tracks. Don't believe it.
Hey, man, that's where I lived.
Case in point.
Every time I go down the street, people think I'm Rob
just
Lowe.
like, couldn't you throw some dirt on their face or maybe give somebody a scar or something? I don't know.
They think I robbed a Lowe's. I misunderstood.
Ridiculous. But no, honestly, I didn't realize that like Macchio was kind of like second build in this sucker, and he is kind of next to C. Thomas Howell. He is the main character in this, and I like seeing the two of them go off and kind of have this little adventure. Like again, I knew nothing going in, so I was kind of excited to see where things would go.
Yeah, I think it might have been me and you were talking about this, Sean, like you weren't certain how significant his role was, but I mean, he's kind of the engine of the plot.
Yeah, he is.
And you get the little ghost, the Force ghost talking to Ponyboy at the end.
I never thought of it as a Force ghost, but that's hilarious.
That's just the term I use for that. I love it.
No, it's perfectly fine, but like, I thought the kind of lead up to everything of like just how they laid out everything from your almost like a play with your opening title cards there and everything, just going like, hey, here's all of your players and stuff. And then just kind of launching you into this kind of, 50s, almost melodrama in kind of a way here. And it's another, we still feel like we're doing another American Graffiti in an odd way, but it's more people reliving the 50s. But again, it's also an interesting time here where we're having this kind of, transition into like, the rock and roll era, as it were.
I think Coppola's trying to make it feel like the movie was made in the 50s with that opening kind of credits. I mean, that's already a very old fashioned way to do it by 83. And I kind of thought it was nice. It was a cool little throwback to a bygone era, a nice anachronism in my opinion.
Sean, are you bored with this style, or is it just okay?
It's okay. I mean, I don't hate this movie at all. It's not like it. This is something I would never have watched on my own. But it's fine.
Did either of you watch the Fox TV show in the very early 90s that was supposed to be a sequel to this movie?
Come on.
That does sound like something Fox would do, though.
Yeah, that's what launched Jason Priestley's careers. I think he played Ponyboy or somebody, or Soda Pop or something. But yeah, he was one of the main characters on the Outsiders TV show on Fox. It only lasted one season, but as soon as it was canceled, they started 90210. Next thing you know, he's racing race cars.
They should make a box set of all of the Fox television shows that like just had like a season and just like put them all out in just like one big box set of like, here's all of our failed crap.
It's all the people from Friends. Like everybody from Friends had their own show on Fox at some point.
It's Joey.
They were on Friends. Before they were on Friends.
I know that I swear I discovered Rosie O'Donnell because she had a weird like Saturday night sitcom on Fox in the early 90s. Like there was some odd stuff that used to come on and I watched it all. That's around the time of was it Herman's Head or something like that?
Well, it's easy to do when you're only cruising around 5 channels.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're just like, well, I guess we're watching this again.
It wasn't like I had nothing better to do on a Saturday night.
Well, overall, though, we talked about him for half a second, but C. Thomas Howell, I think, is pretty good in this. There's a little overacting. You're not wrong, Sean. And you're right, Bruce. I think that we ultimately do need to put that on Coppola's head at the end of the day. When he gets like people that just kind of can do the work themselves, I think they do fine. But honestly, Macchio, I think, is really kind of probably doing the best acting out of everybody in this thing. I really believe that. When he is like just sitting in the car, the little bits of business, his glances and stuff, no one else in the movie is doing what that kid's doing. He's putting together a fantastically natural performance that the rest of these cats are not doing.
What do you think about that, Sean? Because I don't know if I agree wholeheartedly.
I don't. I don't agree. I think that Macchio feels like, I've decided to look down here. And now I'm going to look back up here. Like there's a lot of things where like if you shot that scene 10 times, it would be the exact same way. Like to me, it feels like there's a lot of hit my marks happening with him in this movie.
But no one else is doing any of that though. That's the odd part.
I don't know where Macchio grew up, but I get the idea it was in New York and not Manhattan.
Yeah.
So it might just kind of be like his natural sort of personality just happens to fit this role really well. But just because you sort of are the perfect fit for one role, I don't know if that counts as being a great actor or not. I'm not smart enough to know the answer to that. But I would understand if somebody'd say, yeah, there's a difference.
Well, if he would fill in something in his book and not just make his book just about the damn Karate Kid movie, that doesn't help me with the Outsiders there, Ralphie boy. That doesn't help me out.
It'd be great if the outtakes from this movie were just all crane kicks to the Soch instead of a stab.
I will say this, though. Macchio does say that this movie did not kind of like launch him into anything in particular and stuff. They put together... It took a long time for them to put together, Karate Kid and everything. Once they did, they had this big giant premiere and everything. They brought him there, and like as he's kind of walking around at the beginning, they get like one or two, like, "Hey, you the Outsiders," like one or two of those. But by the end of it, it was just like all of a sudden, the Macchio tide had turned at that particular point. But so this movie itself didn't really grant him any special powers by any stretch of the imagination.
Macchio seems like a guy who should have done a lot of after-school specials between 79 and 82.
Yes, totally. He's exactly that level of actor. And I will tell you this: I'm guessing here, but I'm pretty damn sure that his New York accent is a Long Island. New York accent.
So again, Ralph does not talk about where he was born and brought up in this damn book. Why do you not start at the beginning of your effing life, Ralph? Why start right when you're like 19 and doing Karate Kid? I got what happened to the first 19 years? Give me one chapter. One chapter. Go ahead.
Ralph Macchio he's from Huntington. Yeah, Long Island.
There you go.
Man, not even Flushing. Oh boy.
He is a competent actor. Like he's gonna give you what you think Ralph Macchio is gonna give you in every role, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just that he's always Ralph Macchio, and that's fine. That's totally fine.
And as an adult, all of his roles are fine because he's playing a middle-aged guy from Long Island,
Right.
and he doesn't have to, really stretch much.
Right. And no one's asking him to because he's Ralph Macchio.
Boys, did
They
I
don't wanna
ever
get that Miyagi-Do kung fu on him?
I don't feel I have, but or maybe if I did, it was many, many years ago at this point. But way back in the day, my mom received a VHS tape in the mail, and
Oh boy!
we were like, "What is this?" And who knows where it came from or why it came to our house at this point, or certainly why it was addressed to my mother of all
I'm
people.
picturing Jigsaw's face on your TV screen as soon as she puts it in.
I'd like to show you a television pilot.
The Ring.
It might as well have been The Ring, but it was a pilot starring an adult Ralph Macchio. I forget what his job was, but he had some sort of family business. He was a family man and everything. And his brother was played by Andrew Dice Clay, and he was an Undertaker in the story. And that's what was funny, is because he did Undertaker stuff.
Was this like a thing that used to happen where you would get unsolicited pilots sent to your house?
We did this one time. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. We just
Man, I wish they
VHS
still did
showed up
that.
in
I
the
would have-
mail and said, "Here's this pilot. Fill out the sheet and tell us what you think."
I would get so much joy if that had ever happened to me.
If you live right, people are going to be sending you a bunch of just blank tapes to your house.
Searching for stuff. Come on, something's got to be on this. The only other time something like that's happened when me and my brother were walking around Concord Mills, it's just like a circle there and everything. So we're just killing time walking around. And this lady pulls us out and just goes like, "Hey, you want to go watch a movie trailer and talk about it?" And we're like,
Focus group.
okay, cool. So then they walked us down into the bowels of the mall there and everything, in the center of the mall where you weren't allowed to go. And they sat us down and we watched a trailer for Arnold Schwarzenegger's The Sixth Day.
Wow.
And then I criticized the movie, and I was just like, "Here's what I like about this stuff." Like, you don't realize the good audience that you got for this one, because I broke it all down for them. Like, this is what's good. I'd never watched the movie, so it shows how well they sold me on it.
What a surprise! What a surprise!
How much would you
that
want to see?
That went exactly how I thought it would go. From the second that you said, "Oh, I was part of a focus group," I was like, it doesn't matter what the product is. I know Adam's response to that.
Yes, I'll go. Yeah, I'll be your guinea pig. What do you want to talk about?
I have a question. Why is Conan dressed funny?
Listen, it was good work. They didn't give me.
It's honest. It's an honest living.
It's an honest day's living. And then everyone was like, "Where the heck were you guys?" We were just like, we were in the middle of the mall watching movie trailers, and no one believed us.
Did they give you anything in return, like at least a coupon to the food court or something?
I don't think so. Not to my memory. It was just kind of like, "Well, we appreciate you, boys. We're gonna get this right back to
firm
HQ."
handshake.
I don't even know if we got one of those. It's just kind of like we'll guide you back down to where the main mall is.
Well, I'm glad you were unhelpful then.
Hey, listen, the movie made a lot of money. We all remember that. You're welcome, America.
Now, regardless of what you may or may not think about this movie, I've heard amazing things about the current stage show of The Outsiders. Like, they have indoor rain, they have pyro on the stage.
Wow.
I've heard it's an amazing experience to go see because, see it on stage, it can be lifted up by more than just what's a pretty melodramatic story. But I would encourage folks to go check that out. I haven't seen it yet, but members of my family have, and it's getting a lot of love.
They got song numbers in that?
Oh, yeah.
So that hopefully this Swayze, has this is not my child, something like that.
Oof.
Well,
this is not
they have
my
actual
child.
musical theater actors in it, so that's good.
that would have tipped the scales for me if suddenly Rob Lowe starts breaking out into song in this movie. I'm out.
In stunt casting, they bring back 50-something C. Thomas Howell to play Pony Boy.
That might actually be great. Yeah. The ones who you can get, like, you're never getting Tom Cruise to do this.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if you're super, super lucky, you can get Matt Dillon to like do a walk on and eat a sandwich in your thing. But man, C. Thomas Howell, he'd be totally down for that.
By the way, C. Thomas Howell, current 229 IMDb credits.
Sure, because he's in all of those. What does Red Letter Media call it? Geezer teasers. He's in all of those geezer teasers.
This is very true.
He does a lot of TV too.
Yeah.
about 3 episodes of Walking Dead. That's a good program.
And he's been on a few episodes of the Goldbergs.
He's all right. Listen, I think he's fine. I love the idea of the hair cutting scene. I'm like, first of all, y'all ain't cutting no hair. Cutting it with a knife is about as dumb as it gets. And then when we go for the blonde thing, it's just like, okay, I bet this read really good. You know, on paper, this is probably sweet, but I'm watching this just going, well, you cut a 1/4 inch of hair off here and just, then we dyed it blonde. Okay.
Bro, you got to bleach that black out, bro.
I think they just seem so rough and tumble, the fact they could cut their hair with a switchblade. That really impressed me as a kid, but I never tried it, thank goodness.
As an adult, though, you do see how dumb that scene is. Right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
man. Absolutely.
Just hold your head still. I'll just grab one end of it and then saw a sawing motion of all things. It's
scissors are like right there. I mean,
you got money for a week's worth of groceries. You can't pick up some shears. Give me a break.
Even poor people have scissors in their home, I'm pretty sure.
They're in an abandoned church. Somebody left some scissors in a drawer.
You're a rapscallion. You could have stole those at any point. Just something. Come on. What's going on? There's no excuses for you not to have scissors. And if you do have a knife, at least for heaven's sake, cut off more than a 1/4 inch here, because they were just like, listen, man, I got to go back to school on Monday.
How come you're not using scissors? See, I could be in the Outsiders.
Like some scissors for you, boy.
With that southern accent I just used.
I don't understand why I have to be a grease with scissors. It can't just be a person.
Diane Lane's still proving that she's hot at any age. That lady, my word.
My God.
She shows up in this and you're like, what town is this in? I need to book a ticket to this town.
If she ever needs a couch to crash on, call me up, Miss Lane.
Her and Jennifer Connelly, it's just totally unfair. Like, you've had the best lives ever. Like, yes, I'm sure you've had difficult times. I'm quite sure. But my God.
I had to wake up at 4 one day. It was awful. Ugh.
I don't know what you're doing, but keep it up, ladies.
But yeah, again, I liked all the kind of stuff. I don't know that I've ever seen kind of the sitting portion of a drive-in theater and stuff like that. I thought that was, as silly as it is, I was just like, oh, that's kind of neat. I would have figured they had something. It's like one of those, you're like, oh yeah, well, of course they'd have something like that.
Sean, am I way off if I say this movie, watching it as an adult, feels like it almost has sort of a Waltons type sensibility to it?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong at all. I think that there is something about, like, man, how do I put it? It's like there's a certain pastiche that that certain people are just like, that's the thing I needed. Like, this is one of those things where, like, 50s, like, greaser kids, bikers, like that, like, there's people who are still dressing like the Outsiders, who live in Charlotte and go to a bar on Central Avenue. Like, they're all, those people still exist, even though, they grew up in the suburbs of Charlotte. We all know.
See it, Turkey.
But, like, to me, there's nothing different between cosplaying as, like, a greaser to, like, being into steampunk, and, like,
that's exactly the comparison I was thinking of.
Like, it feels the same way to me, like just because like nerds haven't latched onto this, American nerds haven't, because there's plenty of Japanese nerds who have, but, like, just because American nerds haven't latched onto that means that you're cool. Like, you look kind of silly.
Yeah, I judge you based on whether your tattoo is Stray Cats or Sha-na-na.
I just want the most aerodynamic hair humanly possible. Put them in a wind tunnel. I want to make sure that we got just the right amount.
But, I think that Little House on the Prairie is one of those things too. Like, people aren't dressing up. People aren't dressing up as, like, Little House on the Prairie, but there are people who are like, oh, that is the thing that I wanted to see.
Now, I haven't seen it firsthand, but I think, like, in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, Portland, there's a lot of cottage core where people do think it's cool to dress like that.
Man.
So I think we may have beaten this drum to the skin's getting dented. I don't know. Do you guys have more to say?
Well, if in this,
I can't believe I've talked this much about this movie. I had nothing to say.
All right, then. Well, if you had to recast this role of Ralph Macchio in this movie, who would it be?
Literally anyone. You could literally put anyone else in this.
I'm really
who's an actor.
I'm really pulling for Scott Baio.
You could totally have Scott Baio in this, and it would be the exact same role.
Oh, I don't think Baio could act as well. Come on now.
Chachi would fit right in.
He could totally pull this off, especially at that time when he's not, who Scott Baio turns into later. Like he's, the Charles in Charge Scott Baio. Like before that, like Scott Baio is like, he could totally pull this off.
All he has to do is sad Chachi. I mean, that performance would be just fine in this movie.
I mean, shit, kid, dude, the kid with the mop hair from 8 is Enough could be this role. I mean, it could be anybody. I don't know. I never watched the show, but like you could throw any kid in this and it would be the same.
Now I want Dick Van Patten in the role.
I said kid.
I know, but I still want to see Dick Van Patten try to be a greaser because the wig would look great.
All right.
The kid from Mr. Belvedere, Wesley from Mr. Belvedere, throw him in there. He's
Wesley.
a greaser now.
Wesley.
Bob Uecker is the sheriff.
Now we're talking. Now we got a stew going.
I wrote Gary Coleman because he's also a tiny little guy.
You know what? You just picked the one person who could pull this off because he's a black kid.
He'd have to be in white face. Who could do that in 83?
Oh, that would be cool. No, that would be cool.
What if we got Gary Coleman, we gave him that greaser hair and everything, slick it up real good, give him that Rick James perm and everything? Look at, oh my word, let's do it.
I watched a reality dating show on Netflix with my wife that was like filmed in 2025, very recent. And they asked one of the female contestants what her favorite movie of all time is, and she said White Chicks.
That doesn't surprise me.
Oh.
But wow,
people are idiots. People are idiots.
Wow, there's a lot going on in White Chicks. That's a bold move there, Cotton.
Hey, can I tell you something, Bruce?
Yes.
As kind of one of the opening things of me trying to relate to the children as a substitute teacher, and them to kill some time in class, to be quite frank. I would say, like, all right, we're going to call the roll, and when I call your name, I need you to just tell me what your favorite movie is. Should be
that's a good game.
Should be a nice, easy assignment. First and foremost, parents do not show their children films of any kind.
Yeah.
It seems to be these days, and it's quite disturbing when asked.
Kids,
they don't know.
Kids don't watch movies.
No movies, no TV shows. Like it is like we are.
They watch YouTube and TikTok. Yeah,
I was lucky. I got blessed with the last 3 kids on earth who love to go to the movies, so I've been very blessed in that regard.
I'll say this though: one kid did say White Chicks. That's why I wanted to bring that up. One kid did say White Chicks was his favorite movie. So and that kid was in like 7th grade. I
can't wait till July when we do. Oh, Wayans, can you see? Little man.
Sextuplets.
Oh yeah,
man. There's
Scary Movie 12.
Listen, maybe if there's large Patreon donations.
Oh, that's what happened here with
Macchio. Is that a Patreon pick?
That's
with
what
Macchio.
That's what we'll go with. That's what we'll go with.
It's got to be a Patreon pick or something. And it's not.
It kind of feels like.
Wait a minute. One of you two picked this thing.
I'm worried it was me, but I don't want to. I want to think maybe it wasn't. I'm hoping it wasn't.
Listen, I am taking full credit for this entire month.
Whew.
If anyone wants to throw the eggs, I am here.
I'm not
to
throwing
receive
eggs.
them.
I'm just glad I don't have to duck. That's all.
Fair enough. So in that, but in the spirit with which we are in currently, movies only come in 2 forms. They're either art or fart. Bruce, where does this movie fall with you, sir?
It's going to be art for me. It's just too nostalgic, maybe too close to the material. I think that there's something to be said. The fact that it still perseveres among, I don't know, multiple generations are still showing it in school, and my kids are still liking it at that early, 12, 13 age. So I call it art.
John?
I don't know, man. I for the sake of argument, I guess I'll say fart. Like I don't know what to say about this movie. Like it's shot very well. It's shot by people who know how to make a movie.
And I feel like I felt the same way about a bunch of other movies. So I totally get where you're coming from, Sean. Like I can see this through your eyes, but I'm feeling it with my heart.
Yeah, no, and I mean, this is one of those things for you too. Like I get it, Bruce. Like this is one of these movies for you. Like I know I always bring this up. Because I'm just amazed that there's somebody who like their favorite movie is The Shadow with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
But it has more to do with the memories of her watching that show than
Yes.
the show itself. And that's probably what this is for you too. So like I'm trying hard not to be a prick about this movie because I know that you like it.
Well, thank you.
And I don't know how successly I'm pulling that off, but
you're doing fine, man. You're doing fine.
So like I guess this movie's fart just because there's like I don't know what to say to somebody when they're like, would you recommend this movie? And I'd be like, are you a 12-year-old girl? Yes. Did you grow up in West Virginia? Absolutely. But like if you are a fully recognized adult man, no, you're not going to get the joy out of this movie that the other people will.
Unless you have a heart like me. And then in which case you can kind of just, I don't know, like to me, maybe it's because I just didn't have any idea of really what I was going in for, to be quite frank. I really didn't. I just kind of knew this was the Brat Packy movie. These were the guys that were in it. It was Francis Ford Coppola movie that I'd never seen before. And while it doesn't scream Coppola, there's no mega auteur waving it in front of your face or anything. He does a very fine
which I like.
job for this.
I like that about this movie too. But let me ask you like this, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were in the mall with your brother and somebody pulled you aside and said, "Hey, we want to take you to see a trailer. And you guys are going to be a focus group and tell us what you think about the trailer after you're done." They pull you in, and that trailer is for The Outsiders.
Okay.
What do you think you would say to that person after you saw it?
I'll be honest with you. I'd be curious to see what the trailer would be and how it would try to sell this movie and stuff. But on surface level, if I was to venture a guess, certainly let's call it the age I was brought back there. I'd probably be like, why would I want to see this? It is. Yeah, it's a bunch of pretty boys pretending to be tough guys. So yeah, no, right. I get it. I mean, you ain't wrong. But I guess like for me, it was just. I guess part of it was seeing all these guys, kind of before their big, breakout star hits cool. And everything, which I think is amazing.
I have downplayed that this episode. I do think that part's really cool. Like for that part alone, it's worth it for that. Like, oh shit, that's what Tom Cruise looked like before he got his mouth fixed.
Swing a stick, there's a superstar on the screen. It's wild.
I think that's probably 60 to 70% of this film's legacy. But
sure,
you take the whole package.
Yeah, and whatever for the book that was based upon, and you add that kind of factor in there and stuff, and then surely that's bound to give it a little bit more prestige as well with the name of Francis Ford Coppola being attached. So it's got a lot of things in its favor.
S.E. Hinton, the lady who wrote the book, she plays Matt Dillon's nurse. She has a small cameo.
Oh, she's the one that's like, let me get you out of them jeans, boy.
Yeah.
Was that? Oh, maybe that's the extended cut that I watched. Yeah. For me, this is art. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. Like I said, I'd never seen it before. I'd like to watch in subsequent views and give it some time and stuff like that and come back to it. I agree with Sean though. There is a lot of overacting and stuff in this, and it's not always great. But again, I'm also oddly enough just taking the Francis Ford Coppola of it all together and with that time as well, because it's like it's just kind of, he just lets them go and do what they're going to do and go like, well, that's a smart acting decision, I guess. No, not necessarily. You can do a take two, Francis. You I know you're cheap, but my word. So that's it, everybody. We got our first of the Mucho Macchio marathon underway, and now we're heading off to the land of guitar solos, and we're talking about Crossroads from I forget the year, but it is not too awful close after
like
this.
80. I'm going to guess 88, maybe 87, maybe 86.
So we're talking 86, actually. There you go. I had it down here in my notes at the end, but yeah. So Crossroads from 1986. We'll see that and. Talk about the legend that was Steve Vai. I remember people talking about all the kind of, crazy stuff that was going on in this movie and stuff like that. And we'll see if we can talk Sean down off the ledge or whatever. I'm going to be at the high seas the next week, everybody. So pray that I don't drown. Or some of you may be praying that I do drown. So you better stop that. Don't do that. That's mean.
They're not listening, those people.
That's true. They would have tuned out long ago. They're like, oh, he's still yapping. We're not watching this. Quit. Until then, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I think you can just check me out on the Patreon for this show. If you want to hear me talk some more, pitch in a very tiny, frugal amount to Patreon. You can hear our 30 questions over there or something.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff over here. They're giving us 3 hours worth of Andor every week, so God knows we've got a lot to talk about.
It's like a dream come true. I'm so I can't believe how fortunate I feel every Tuesday at 9:00.
I'm so happy for you, Sean. I genuinely am. I can hear your joy through the questions you write.
I haven't had this for my adult life with Star Wars.
I was going to say, not since my children were born have I felt something so good.
I mean, with Star Wars specifically, it's been my favorite franchise forever. And I kind of never gave up on it, although, God damn, it wanted me to so bad. And for me, I know the show isn't for everybody, but my God, is it for me? And I just love it so much.
So yeah, that'll do it, everybody. Join us here next week for 1986's Crossroads. For Sweet Sean, the Kovacs from the internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porteous, reminding you to be a dirty baby and leave a comment for your mom.